welcome to Urban Insights. I'm Jayashree Kulu. I have with me Rohit Gera. He's the Managing Director of Gera Developments Private Limited. Thank you so much for joining me, Rohit. Rohit, very recently you brought out the Pune market report. What's happening in the real estate market? Before we go forward, if you'd like to just briefly tell us what you think are the major trends in the Pune market in the last.
Sure. So Jayashree, we've been putting out this report now for about 14 years, right? So we have a lot of trend data, and what we are seeing now is over the last few years, we've seen prices move up. In fact, the last year we had the highest price rise. There is an impact as far as overall prices is concerned, but if one looks at the longer term trend, from 2011 we saw a downward cycle for a little bit of time, then it slowly started moving up, and then after 2020 and after COVID is when we've seen the prices rise. So if one looks at a long term, takes a long term view, then I think the overall increase in the overall market price is not so much. But if you take a narrower slice of the last 3 to 4 years, you're talking about 35-40% increase in prices. And that is one of the things which has pushed affordability a little bit away for people. Affordability in terms of rates per square foot per se isn't the real story. I think the real story that's happening not just in Pune but across the country is what's happened to sizes of homes. And if you look at, if I do take Pune as a basic sort of bellwether, like you said, or as a representative for the rest of the markets, right? We've seen the sizes of homes in Pune go up substantially over the last few years. In 2017, this is an interesting statistic, right? In 2017, the average size of home launched in Pune was 735 square feet. This has moved up to 1,261 square feet last year. Just since 2020 till 2024, average sizes have moved up from about 880 square feet to 1260 square feet. So almost a 50% increase in size of homes. Now, if you take increase in price of about 30-40%, you take increase in size of about 30-40%, now the affordability impact is felt by people who are looking to buy, because the impact that this creates is psychological. If you were looking at a certain micro market and you saw, okay, prices have moved up, but I could afford to be in that same micro market, but if sizes of new homes there have also gone up and prices have also gone up, suddenly you're squeezed and you need to go to a further away location or to a smaller size. And that's when we find that we start seeing headwinds and hitting headwinds when it comes to the market. And I think currently we're in that sort of a situation where we've raised prices a lot from a short term point of view. We've increased sizes a lot over the last few years, and consumers are now facing the impact on affordability of this dual effect.
Has the profile of the consumer changed? Take the last 3 years.
I don't think the profile has really changed that much. We are still seeing IT consumers from the IT sector, business people looking to buy from us. Certainly, they have all received decent increases in their salaries over the last few years. So the profile of the consumer in that sense hasn't changed. What's changed is the customer who's coming in at the entry segment is now looking a little bit further away. But the entry segment customer still buys an entry segment house, still buys an entry segment car, if you will, right?
Right.
People who've been working for the last 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, then look at a little bit more central locations, and that trend hasn't changed, because while home prices have moved up, people's salaries and affordability has also moved up.
What the finance minister did this time by the income tax SOPs and things like that, do you think more people have come into the buying net?
So I do think that for the people up to this 20-25 lakh combined family income, which at 25 lakhs combined family income, if you're looking at buying a home between a crore and 25 lakhs at a 4 to 5 times multiple, assuming that it's dual income, there is a reasonable saving as far as people are concerned. 150,000 rupees a year, right? Now, even if it's a lakh of rupees saved, that works out to about 8,000 rupees a month. And that gives you a eligibility of a loan of about 8 lakh rupees more. So I do think that consumers who are looking to buy a home and looking to use these savings towards their EMI, certainly their affordability has gone up as a result of the additional disposable income that the finance minister has put into the hands of all Indians literally.
And with that second home, the SOPs that have been given for the second home and the rental income, it's not taxable. Does that mean that people will go for that second home, even if you have a first home, or is this? It's not much of a
I
benefit.
don't believe, I have never in all these years heard somebody saying, oh, we don't want to buy a second home because of that notional tax, right? I've never heard that. I think the reason why the finance minister went and took that out was because it was just cumbersome and discretionary. And the moment there's discretionary things where, where probably the AI systems at the back end, and this is just conjecture,
Mm.
right? But the AI
Yeah,
systems at
yeah.
the back end start finding challenges with what people are filing in this area, and it's so
Right.
nominal that they probably
Mm.
decided to just do away with it to make it easier for people. So I think it's a move towards easing filing of tax returns, and I'm pretty certain that there's no major impact on revenue to the government. And like I
Right.
said, I've never heard somebody say I don't want to buy a second home because there may be some notional tax on the rent.
But in the last 2 3 years, what percentage of your buyers are end users, and do you see a lot of investors coming in?
We have a very high percentage of end users because we do
Mhm.
something called child centric homes. And so, our child centric homes, because we have all these tie ups with these fabulous academies, these young Indian families can give their kids these phenomenal opportunities for coaching in all kinds of areas: cricket, dance, dramatics, tennis, football, all of it. And so this is valuable for end users. What we do have also is a number of people who buy as an investment for rent, because if you look at, let's say you're moving into a new city and you have to rent a place, if you can have a home where your kids will find friends easily, there'll be activities for your kids immediately, then that development is in high demand. So we find a lot of our consumers are buying homes with us
Mhm.
for end use, and then there's another segment who buys to rent them because we do get premium rents as compared to the rest of the market for our child
Mhm.
centric home.
And in the last few years, rents have gone up significantly, right?
Yes.
Earlier, it was prices are high, let me stay on rent. Today, prices are high, rent is high. So, how did the consumer balance?
Look, I don't subscribe to this school of thought which says prices are high, let me stay on rent. And I'll take a minute to explain what I mean by this, right? Real estate and buying a home, it's the only asset which you can buy today, pay over the next 20 to 25 years. Your EMI largely is unchanged. That's the only asset. At the end of 25 years, you ended up paying off your house. If you buy and the asset is yours now at
Right.
tomorrow's value, if you're paying rent today, right, and you don't buy a home, you're going to pay rent till the day you die. Now, that rent continues to rise 3%, 5%, whatever it be, every year on year, that rent's going to keep rising. When you reach a stage of retirement and you have a fixed pension to live off, and you're going to have increasing rents eating into that. Now imagine if you have a home 25 years out, you're retiring, and you own nothing for your home. Your entire savings, which you need to live for the rest of your life, is available for you for your life and lifestyle, and it's not going in for it.
Right.
So I don't look at, and I don't subscribe to the view that a first home is an investment. It is not an investment. Please don't look at it as such. Right? It's a safety net, it's a shelter, call it anything else. Yes, when you get to the second home and you're saying, should I invest in shares? Should I invest in mutual funds? SIP,
Mhm.
real estate, REITs, wherever else, then by all means consider it as an investment. But until you have your first home bought, you're buying shelter, you're buying security for the future. I know a lot of people, when I say this, say, oh, but of course you're a developer, and of course you're going to say this. And I challenge them to say, well, give me a counter argument to what I'm saying.
I don't. I don't. I believe that first house, even if the markets are high, if you want to buy a house to stay in, this is the right time to buy because you
You know,
need the house, right?
and I'll just add one other thing, right? It's very, very hard to time the market. Very hard to
Yes.
time the market. Some people got lucky, they bought at the bottom, they got lucky. You can't tell what happens in the future, but if you're ready to buy now, you have the affordability now, then the time to buy is now.
For people who find that there is more money in the wallet, they want to step into the property market. Even if they are entry level buyers, they may have a smaller budget, right? But the sizes of the houses, the prices of the houses, because of the size, location, loading, and things like that, the facilities loaded onto it, has become more expensive. Do
Yes.
you think that now the government has given a boost to demand, but is there enough supply to match it?
So that's a really interesting point, Jayashree. And what we found in our research is over the last few years there has been a steady decline in the market share of smaller homes. Developers have been launching homes which are larger over the last few years. Again, I'll share an interesting statistic with you. Maybe 2018. In 2018 in Pune, 49% of the homes that were launched by developers were one bedroom. The 3 and 4 bedroom was around 5%. This is 2018. 6 years later, 2024, one bedrooms are down to 11.5%. So from almost 50%, you're down to 11.5%. Whereas the 3 and 4 bedrooms have gone from 5% to about 33%. This is the big shift that's taken place. If you ask why has this happened, I think it's happened because people didn't buy homes for a fair amount of time, and prices were flat to negative for a while. So
Right.
affordability went up. That's the sort of big piece. The other aspect to think about, if you look at let's say a 600 square foot home in the outskirts of a city like Pune, where let's say you're buying at about 4,500, all in 5,000 per square foot.
Mhm.
That's a 30 lakh rupee home. You pay your 5 lakhs of your EMI, you're left with 25 lakhs as a loan. That 25 lakh rupee loan, your EMI for that is about 24,000 a month. That's somebody who's, and if you say, okay, my EMI is 25,000 a month, my annual combined family income has to be 6 lakhs, is 50,000 a month, therefore
Mhm.
6 lakhs a year. As combined family income, those people at that level are well out of the net, so to speak. So then their
Right.
ability to go out get loans becomes harder. So I think there is also that effect at that bottom of that pyramid, at the affordable. So the need is tremendous. Make no mistake, there's a tremendous need. But for the need to convert to demand is where the challenge lies, because you need to be at 7 lakh, 8 lakh, 10 lakh family income to go to the bank to get the loan. Now look at it, if you're
Mhm.
at 10 lakhs, and let's reverse work it, 10 lakhs is 80,000 bucks a month. You can pay 40,000 bucks for your EMI. You can
Right.
get a 45 lakh rupee loan, which means you can buy a home of about 52, 53, 54 lakhs. Now
Yeah.
suddenly you're no longer looking at the one bedroom. So there is that as well.
Yeah. Uh, is there which obviously the one bedroom buyer has been edged out of the market, and there has to be policy intervention to bring them back in. Either their eligibility has to go up, or the rates have to be tweaked, or whatever. Uh, but that two bedroom and maybe two and a half bedroom, there is endless demand, and they also have access to loans, right? But the market has shrunk. 15-16% is what it is, from a 45, 44, 44, 45%.
That's not correct. If you in fact, if you look at Pune, for example, right, and we
Yeah.
take the two-bedroom segment, in
Hmm.
the year when one bedroom was at 49%, the two bedrooms were at 41%. Last year, when the one bedrooms went down to 11.5%, two bedrooms have gone to 47%. So there isn't, so in fact, the two-bedroom pie has increased. The three and
Yeah.
four bedroom pie has increased, and it's come at the cost of the one bedroom. I'll add one more thing, right? Look, real
Hmm.
estate developers are businessmen.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we need to cater to demand. Where there is demand, developers will supply. It's not the other way around. All of
Yeah.
us would like to do homes and sell them in Pune at 20,000 bucks a square foot. There's no demand. The demand is at the lower end, and therefore you have different types of developers who cater to the different demand. The
Okay.
fact of the matter is that the demand for those one bedrooms has gone down. As a result, the supply has gone down. It works in tandem, it works together. The demand and supply. When there is demand, developers will supply, right? That supply gets consumed, there's increased demand. So they work hand in hand. It isn't one-sided at all.
Let's talk about the premium demand. The premium demand became ultra premium in the last 2-3 years, right? A
Yes.
lot of it moved into the ultra premium segment. Is that a sustainable thing, or was it a short term trend? And will you see a increase? The inventories, more inventories there, with a slowing sale. Uh, I'm trying
So
to understand that segment.
So look, real estate is cyclical. We have cycles, we have ups and downs. When we went to homes being 735 square feet as an average size, 3 years before that they were 850, 900 square feet. We raised the prices too much. People stopped buying. Affordability went out of the window. Now we lowered the sizes because we had already set the price benchmarks. So you lower the sizes, the new sizes come in, it goes through its cycle. Slowly the sizes start rising again, prices start rising. Somewhere
Mm.
along the way, we're going to hit a wall when
Yeah.
people are going to be like, this just makes no sense on the price and this just makes no sense on the size, and we'll be
Mm.
back onto the same cycle.
Yeah.
This is a
And
cyclical industry. It will have ups and downs. These are long gestation projects, and therefore it takes its time to have its impact, but it'll have its impact
mm.
for sure.
And today, if you look at the demand, what is your maximum demand in the Pune?
Well, I think the largest demand and supply continues to be in the two-bedroom segment. What you've seen an increase is certainly an increase in the three-bedroom, up from 5% to 30% in the three-bedroom. In percentage terms, that's gone up the most, but in
Okay. Okay.
absolute terms, the two bedrooms are still the staple. The majority is happening in the two-bedroom space.
Uh, what's happening in terms of developers, the balance sheets, the operating techniques? Have those changed? Because I remember we had conversations where we
Yes.
talked about projects being launched. You didn't know whether if finance, there was no finance mechanism, correct finance mechanism there, and so on. So are projects safer today?
Yes and no. Okay, and I'll
Okay.
tell you, what I mean by that. I think projects are safer to an extent because of RERA. And the interesting one of the clauses under the Real Estate Regulatory Act is that if you want to make a change in a project, you need to get two-thirds of the flat buyers to agree to the change. Nobody's going back to customers to make a change, and
Correct.
two-third customers are certainly not giving you an approval. As a result, developers have learned to become much sharper in
Mhm.
terms of analyzing the product that they want to bring out, because they know that they can't make changes. Look, we would very easily use have, okay, two buildings, three buildings in a project. Array, three bedrooms are selling. वो two bedroom को change कर को three bedroom बना दो. Today,
Right.
in your phase that you launch, you cannot literally. We write off the opportunity to make changes. We say you cannot make changes. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
As a result, developers have become more astute, more research focused, and are less flexible on making a change in the product. This has
Okay.
brought about a level of smartness, if you will, to get the product right. So this has been a good thing. On the financial closure side, there's still no concept of financial closure for the real estate sector. What RERA went and did is said 70% of the money that you get from customers has to be used for the project, which is great. And
Mm.
that has, to that extent, like I said, yes and no. To the
Mm.
extent it's a yes, is because as long as there are sales and 70% of the money is going into the project, it's 100% yes. What happens if there's no sales? If you have nothing coming in, there's nothing going into the 70% account. Where does the developer then get the money to complete the project, right? And we don't have a concept in India called financial closure, where you
Mhm.
need to say, okay, if I don't make sales, I've got a line of credit, construction finance lined up in place, so
Mm.
that if I don't make the sales, right, and customers are not paying me, I've got the debt lined up and I'll be able to build the project. That, I think, it'll take one crisis and one downturn for that crisis to hit, for another set of projects to get stalled because they
Mm.
launched and they had less sales, for the government to come and make that change. The other way for that change to happen is if financial institutions who are giving mortgages to customers turn
Mm.
around and start looking at financial closure of builders' projects. And if
Mm.
they say, look, so and so's builder's project has financial closure, the risk of default on account of lack of capital is reduced.
Mm.
Therefore, we will give you a 10, 20, 30 basis point reduction in your interest rate. If financial institutions start doing that, trust me, every developer will start running towards financial closure.
We're a long way off from that. The financial institutions haven't started thinking on those lines, right?
Well, I think you're right. We are a way away from that.
Mm.
My hope is that it comes through the carrot, which is the financial institution, rather than the stick,
Right.
the real estate regulator.
Right.
But I think
I'd
it's a
like
matter of time. It may be a decade, but it's a matter of time before we need to get to financial closure for our projects.
I think this is a point that I would like to pick up and start talking more about. It makes sense.
Yeah.
uh, Rohit, what about senior living? It's increasingly one of the biggest requirements in the Indian market. Rapidly aging population,
Yes.
and senior living has comes with its own level of challenges, right? Many of the people, they buy, it's a paid up project, But we've got such terrible reverse mortgage laws that suppose I, as a senior citizen, run out of money at some point of time, there is no provision for it to have a backup, right?
Yeah.
So we have been exploring the linkages between senior living and reverse mortgages, and whether the developer community is also studying this. Do you have any views on this?
So I think there's senior living. There's two parts to it. One is the money side and the financing side, which is regulatory
Right,
and the government side, right?
right.
The other part of it is actually the developer side of providing senior homes. Truly creating senior living communities is that it's a community, right?
Mhm.
That community has a different set of needs than a regular development.
Absolutely.
It's not just about wider doors for wheelchair access and a grab rail in the bathroom. The needs of the senior community are different, right? In terms of activities, in terms of engagement, and therefore, actually the business of running a senior community starts where the business of the real estate developer ends. But as developers, our job is get to the keys, hand it over, and walk away. So unless and until there is adequate infrastructure that takes care of the management of those communities, the developer's business is to develop and sell and move on. So when developers tie up with operators who will come and run that community, is when you will start seeing that there's adequate senior communities which are being created.
Is that attractive to developers like you? Because it's a community which already has uh,
Yeah.
disposable income.
So senior living is something that we've looked at. We are already in a specialized space which is child centric homes. So we are already in a servicized model
Mm,
where we provide the services for the kids and the families. So
mm,
moving into senior housing is certainly an option that we look at and we've looked at. Right now, we are evaluating it, but I think the other aspect of senior housing is you have to think about scale for
mm,
developers, right?
mm,
Typically, a child-centric home we need to now do is at least 1,200 homes, 1,000 homes, 1,500 homes. Is the size of a child-centric development which has adequate critical mass. A senior development, for example, requires a few hundred homes. So now the whole size and scale has to change, and that has to match what your organization's needs are. Our organization is being built more for scale, and
mm.
therefore the 200, 300 home developments, right now we are not geared up to do a series of those. Are we
Okay.
looking at creating the model for that? Absolutely. But right now it isn't something that we're geared up for.
One last question. What is the role of technology? Many guests on my show have said it is the year when AI and machine learning is going to significantly change things. Technology is on the rise. But as a developer on the ground, how significant has been the role of technology? And do you see that increasing by leaps and bounds?
As a developer who has been very, very embracing of technology, I can certainly tell you that we see tremendous benefits. We have already seen tremendous benefits with using technology, and we're at the forefront, or at scratching the surface
Hmm.
of where all this can be used.
Hmm.
So I'll give an example of a very different area where we've used technology, right?
Right.
And it'll kind of showcase the end-to-end sort of thought process and approach.
Hmm.
Today, when a channel partner comes to us with a customer, right? When the customer registers his home,
Hmm.
the channel partner gets a message on his phone saying your customer has registered their home. This is your raise an invoice to us of this much. These are the
Hmm.
details. He can walk into our office with the invoice and get
Hmm.
paid within 24 hours.
Okay.
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 Now, that requires an integration from the time the customer walks in with the channel partner. You have to record that. You have to record in
Hmm.
your systems. You have to say, okay, the registration got done. You have to trigger the message that goes to him. Then you have to have the empowered technology backup system where a
Hmm.
manager at a project can release that brokerage to the channel partner.
Hmm.
It's end to end. It's from the time the
Yeah.
customer comes in registers until the time the channel partner gets paid. So
Yeah.
we've seen efficiency increases in those areas. We're using AI uh, before the AI went into the Chat GPT
Mm.
levels. Even before that,
Mm.
we were testing tonality of customer messages coming into us. The system was flagging people's reactions, mood, and modes, and
Okay.
based on people as they were getting angry, they were being those messages were being escalated to senior people to go in and
Mm.
find out why they escalated, why they in a why are they angry, and then you kind of take care of it. So technology, and all I'm doing so far is talking about technology on the operational side. On the
Right.
execution and on the project side, right?
Mhm.
We have an app which we use for our quality control,
Okay.
right? For monitoring the progress of the project. So the technology is, it's all pervasive now.
Mm. Mm.
Like we use drones which go up, and we measure the quantum of excavation using drones.
Okay.
So it is indeed all pervasive, right?
Mm.
And the more you embrace it, the more efficiencies you see, but it comes with a cost, it comes with its own challenges, it comes with
Mm.
building an organization which has a culture of adopting new technology and making change with technology.
You also need more skilled workers, right? Your worker skills have to constantly be upgraded. With the kind of manpower shortage that the industry is facing, is this the future?
So use of construction technology absolutely is the future. I know
Okay.
that there are companies working on the robotic side, for bricklaying, for plastering, for all of that. I do think that that will become a reality very soon. I've seen demos of some machines which do this.
Mhm.
So I certainly think that these will absolutely make things a lot, reduce the redundant, reduce manpower dependency.
And will it hike the cost?
In the long run, no. In the short run,
Mhm.
yes,
Okay.
because the equipment and all of that is. Look, once you invested in the machine, now you amortize it over time, whereas
Mm.
wages continue to rise over time. The increase in the machine cost over 2 years or 3 years is not going to be as much as the increase in labor cost, which is less predictable in that sense. So, it has its pluses and minuses. Too much of it too soon will have a negative impact on the country from an
Mm.
employment perspective. And the other interesting thing, and I'll say this, and I know we're almost out of time, but the other interesting thing is when demand is high in the sector and all
Right.
the contractors are like being chased and their rates are going up, that's when we turn around and say, let's go mechanization, mechanization, mechanization. When the things
Right.
start going down and you can, pick up the phone and four contractors are coming and bidding, nobody's thinking about
Mm.
about mechanization, right? So there is
Absolutely.
also there is also that cyclicality also leads to that in a way.
And I think right now what you're seeing is that if affordable housing comes, if the unit sizes shrink, if you have smaller units, more of smaller units, it is very amenable to mechanization, right?
Absolutely. Smaller,
And
larger, all of it, all of it. We can even like Aluform, for example, today. All our buildings
yeah,
are 30, 40 stories now,
right,
right?
right.
You couldn't do that conventionally because you need to do much more rapid construction. So
Mhm.
all of that mechanization helps all of that.
Thanks so much, Rohit. Always a pleasure
You're
talking to you.
welcome, Jayashree. Thanks for your time.
Found this video useful? Please subscribe to this channel for more such videos. Do like and share with as many people as you can.